Okay, there we go. So for my online peeps, I'm sorry I kicked you off, and now you have to log back on. But we are live now, so they'll get there. So for our new people, and a refresher for our people who aren't so new, when we talk about this word that everybody knows, loving kindness, or this hyphenated word, loving kindness, it's translated from old Buddhist word, a Pali word called metta, and M-E-T-T-A. And when this word gets translated into English 2,500 years later, it could have a lot of meanings. It could mean loving kindness. It could mean unconditional friendliness. There's one teacher who really likes the term goodwill. And it's simply a wish to be happy, a wish for us to be happy, a wish for others to be happy, and more importantly, a wish that ourselves and others do the things that cause happiness. So this Buddhist practice is an action verb, right? So we do things, we have practices to make our lives happier, and this is one of them. And so you might be thinking, well, what causes happiness? And I have a couple of different answers for that. So often in Buddhism, it's difficult to explain what things are with words. So we kind of have to explain what they're not. And if you say what they're not, what you have left is what it is. And so we do this with this word nirvana, this enlightenment word, the word that we've all heard of, nirvana. What is nirvana? But for example, nirvana means simply unbinding. That's literally what it means. It means unbinding, that you are not bound to the fires of suffering, the fires of grasping and clinging. You are not bound to that. So it describes it by what it's not, because nirvana is like the unconditioned, the unfabricated. And so we're trying to describe this with words and language, which is all fabricated. So often we describe nirvana by what it's not. No suffering, no form, no lack of form, no this, no perception, no lack of perception, no all of no. And so the idea is to try to get you to understand how to get at it. We just tell you what it's not. With metta, with loving kindness, you can do that as well. Although we do have words to kind of explain loving kindness and things that cause happiness, which would be the opposite of things that cause suffering. So that's one way to explain it. If you know what causes suffering, if you take that away, that causes happiness. And so we have this motto here at the Dharma Bum Temple. Our motto is, think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds. Right? And those things cause happiness. Right? So they cause happiness in us, and we wish that others do that for themselves, so that causes happiness in them. And the wonderful thing about this metta, this think good thoughts, speak good words, do good deeds, this goodwill that you could have for somebody, this wish that you could have for somebody, is that their loving kindness will never interfere with your loving kindness. There's never any conflict there, even with your worst enemy. Even with your worst enemy, if your worst enemy is doing things that cause happiness and you're doing things that cause happiness, you will never have any conflict, even with your worst enemy. So, all right. So guys online, I hope you were able to kind of log back in. So can you let me know if you can see this now? I think you can still see, because it says there are 7 people here. So, okay, yes, good, thank you. Awesome. All right. So what I'd like to do now is I'd like to read to you the Buddha's words on loving kindness. And this comes from the Metta Sutta or Metta Sutra, the Buddha's words on loving kindness. He says, "This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. Let them be able and upright, straightforward and gentle in speech, humble and not conceited, contented and easily satisfied, unburdened with duties and frugal in their ways, peaceful and calm and wise and skillful, not proud or demanding in nature. Let them not do the slightest thing that the wise would later reprove, wishing, in gladness and in safety, may all beings be at ease. Whatever living beings there may be, whether they are weak or strong, omitting none, the great or the mighty, medium, short, or small, the seen and the unseen, those living near and far away, those born and to be born, may all beings be at ease. Let none deceive another or despise any being in any state. Let none through anger or ill will wish harm upon another. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings, radiating kindness over the entire world, spreading upwards to the skies and downwards to the depths, outwards and unbounded, freed from hatred and ill will. Whether standing or walking, seated or lying down, free from drowsiness, one should sustain this recollection. This is said to be the sublime abiding. By not holding to fixed views, the pure-hearted one, having clarity of vision, being freed from all sense desires, is not born again into this world. And isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful that 2,500 years ago, a great, spiritual master could come up with that. And it's just as relevant today as it was back then, And so when thinking about loving kindness, when thinking about metta and the totality of what that means, if you read this sutra, you get an idea of just what that is and what a complete practice that can be. Because they have people who just do nothing but this, and that's okay, because this is said to be the sublime abiding, and so this contains so much of the Buddha's teachings in this one sutra. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll get into our meditation. Is there anyone who's brand new to meditation? You're brand new to meditation. Okay, so let's make this easy for you. If you want, you can take a cushion and just just take the cushion and put it on, because your feet aren't reaching all the way to the floor, so you can put your feet on the cushion, just to make it easier for you. Yeah, just like here. Yeah, much better, huh? Okay, so let's just start with a little seating instruction here. So we just want to make sure that we're just nice and comfortable, and our feet are flat on the floor or on the cushion, just a few inches apart. Your hands can be anywhere, right? That's comfortable. You can put your hands on your lap, or on your legs. Some people like to put their hands up. You can put your hands up or down. That, for our purposes, it doesn't matter. Just put them where they're comfortable. Try to make your back nice and straight. So I like to make my back super duper duper straight and just kind of relax. So my core is still somewhat engaged, but I'm not slouching. So we don't want to slouch. Our head is nice and straight, and maybe tucking the chin under just a little bit, extending the spine. And then the last thing really is the eyes. Usually in the West, it's just easier to close your eyes. But so if you want to do that, you can close your eyes. If you want to half close them, you'll see on all this statuary and all these tankas here, these paintings, of the Buddha and various Buddhist deities, the eyes are like half closed, right? And so you could half close your eyes, looking 45 degrees down past your nose in this sort of soft and unfocused gaze. We're going to go through a progression because I'm going to lead this meditation. I'm going to guide it. I'm going to kind of give you instructions on how to do this meditation. So don't worry about what you're going to do. I'll let you know. Well, I don't think that we have any questions other than that. So let's get started. Let me get my handy dandy timer out. Guys, let's do this. So just allow your eyes to close, making sure you have that nice position that's nice and comfortable for you, nice and sustainable, so you're not likely to move around too much. And when we sit like a Buddha. And you can even imagine yourselves as a Buddha sitting underneath your own tree of enlightenment, ready for the day's abiding. So let's at first just start to get connected to the breath. Because no matter what kind of meditation you're doing, you always want at least about 25% of your attention on the breath that will anchor you to the present moment, so you can get the most out of your meditation. So let's just take a deep breath all the way in and all the way out. Not forcing it, letting it be quite easy and quite natural. At first, and then just find the kind of breath that's going to be comfortable for you. That's going to put you at ease. That's going to put your body at ease. Maybe you take a deeper in-breath or a deeper out-breath, a longer in-breath or a longer out-breath. Just find that sweet spot for you. Just experiment and see what's going to work best for you. Always staying with the breath as much as you can. Just for the next couple of moments, let's just rest as gently as we can in the sensations of the breath. So to begin our practice, our formal practice of loving kindness, we're first going to think of a benefactor. And a benefactor is anyone who has shown us great love or great kindness. Someone it's really easy to have these feelings for. You just think of this person and you start to smile. You have that experience of love and kindness in your own heart. You remember it. It could be like mother, father, brother, sister, best friend, teacher, whomever that might be, best friend. Yeah. And all you're going to do is just radiate loving kindness to them, wishing them happiness, wishing they do the things that cause happiness. And while you're doing that, if you want to repeat phrases of loving kindness for them, you can do that. Phrases like, may you be happy. May you be safe from inner and outer danger. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at peace and live at ease in this world. Or just radiate just pick something that's going to really work for you. And again, smiling as you do so. Smiling is so important in this practice. It puts the mind in a good mood. So for the next few moments, we'll do this practice of loving kindness for our benefactor. And now shifting our focus just a little bit from doing this practice for our benefactor and radiating loving kindness to them to now imagining our benefactor doing this practice for us. We already have the experience of their loving kindness, and so we're just, to some degree, just recreating that. So it could be the same benefactor, it could be a different one, and just imagine them in your mind's eye. Think about the ways that you've experienced their love and kindness. And so just imagine them radiating loving kindness to you. And the only thing you have to do is just receive all of their love and kindness. Receive all of it in your own heart. And this is where it really helps to put your hand over your heart, maybe, if you want to do that. And smile. Think of your benefactor. If there's any tension or any part of your heart that says, no, I can't receive all of this, that's okay. Can you then just use the breath and give that tension, just give it some space to work itself out. You don't have to try to actively change it, just give it space. So for the next few moments, we'll imagine our benefactor doing this practice for us and just receive all of it. And now we can shift our focus again to probably the most important part of this practice is loving kindness for yourself. And so this can be hard for some people. So the way to think about this is just call to mind your own wish to be happy, your own wish to be free from harm, to be healthy, happy, at peace. And it's a wish that we all have for ourselves. You may not go about it in the best way sometimes, but it's still the wish that we have for ourselves. And you can either radiate loving kindness back onto yourself, maybe feel your heart getting bigger, warmer, or you can just repeat the phrases of loving kindness for yourself. May I be happy. May I be safe from inner and outer danger. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and live at ease in this world. Or just to even simplify it more if you want, you can just gently whisper to yourself, may I be happy. On the in-breath, it's may I be happy. And then breathe out. And we'll do this for the next few moments. Always remember to smile. And then finally, we can explore the limitless quality of the heart by doing this practice for all beings in all directions. Whatever living beings there may be, the seen and the unseen, the born and those to be born, may all beings be at ease. So just go as far out as you can go. Knowing that the potential that your heart has is to have loving kindness for all beings, regardless of who they are. And so we'll just do this for the next few moments to end our meditation. Just open your eyes when you're ready. Just take the next couple of minutes out in silence as you stretch your arms and you stretch your legs. You keep those thoughts of loving kindness about you. You keep that mindfulness about you, these wonderful, loving, and kind thoughts. Don't give them up just because you're not meditating anymore. And then after a couple of minutes, we'll get started. Okay, so this is a really important instruction after we stop meditating, and it's important that you still keep these thoughts of loving kindness about you and the mindfulness of those thoughts with you. We want to make our practice count for something, right? We don't just want to make our practice like a checkbox. Oh, meditate, check, and then you go on with your day. One of the reasons why we call this a practice is that, well, what are you practicing for? Like, let's say you meditate in the morning. And so what are you practicing for? Well, you're practicing for the rest of your day, right? You're practicing, I need to remember to be loving and kind and not to fly off the handle and not to get mad when somebody cuts me off in traffic, and to keep those loving thoughts with me as much as humanly possible until I meditate again. Right? So we want our practice to be meaningful and to mean something. And so that's a really skillful way to look at it. I had a teacher who said, my teacher said, it's like, so the way so many people treat it, it's like they get up, the bell rings and they get up and they go watch TV, or they get up and they look at their phone and they start playing games, or they get up and immediately go to work, or they get up and fight with their husband, or fight with their kids, or fight with their whomever, or they get up and get on the phone call, or they get up and go to a meeting. And it's important that we take this time, that we're not so mindless with this. This teacher said that it's kind of like, climbing to the second story of a building and jumping out the window, right? Make this count when you do this practice. Make it mean something. And keep these thoughts about you as much as you can during the day, or until the next time you practice. So any questions on the instructions at all? Hopefully that was relatively straightforward, but if you have some questions on the instructions, I'm happy to. Would anybody want to share their experience of meditation? So the great thing about your experience is that there's no wrong answers. Your experience is just your experience. Whether you thought one part of the meditation was easy or difficult or something like that. Or any questions about that? Yeah.
My mind kind of races, so I have a hard time focusing.
Right. So like everybody, literally everybody, yes. And that's a good way to think of it, right? Because when your mind races, especially if you haven't been meditating a long time. If you're new to meditation, like you said, yeah, is your mind going to race? Because it's not used to doing what it's doing. It's not used to just sitting there and practicing and radiating loving kindness and doing all these things that you're asked to do in a guided meditation, And so it's like, for the first time, like in my own story, the first time I sat down to meditate, I had this CD with me called Intro to Meditation. Had lots of different types of meditation on it, and I just was doing like the basic one at first because I was brand new, super brand new. And he talked the entire time, all 8.5 minutes he talked. And so it gave my mind something to pay attention to. And then for about 20 minutes, he stopped. So sorry, 20 seconds. 20 seconds. Might as well have been 20 minutes. For 20 seconds, he stopped. And when he stopped, my mind went just bonkers, because it had never, racing and thoughts and I'd never experienced that before. At least I don't remember experiencing that before, until he finally started talking again 20 seconds later. And I'm like, oh my God. And as time went on, that never bothered me, and that never bothered me anymore, right? And so, and then I could meditate for long periods of time. But the thing about that racing mind that I experience, that you experience, is that this is what the mind's been doing all the time your entire life. You've just never been quiet enough to listen to it, right? And that's a really interesting thing to think about. It's like, oh yeah, isn't that really interesting about how my mind has always been doing this, and it's always I've always been listening and doing what it says, like distracting myself with this thing and that thing and this thing, and now to pay attention, it could be a little off-putting. But over time, with practice and techniques and patience, your mind won't race as much. And if it does race, you'll know what to do. The racing won't freak you out. Like, oh, okay, I know what to do here. Right? So, yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yeah.
So, I've been practicing being present and aware. And I'm getting better at, like, having my thoughts go by, not, like, focusing on them. And so when we have a focus on persons that, bring you peace and joy, it's pretty easy because they bring you peace and joy. But when we got to the stage where we had to give to everyone, what happened with me, just like my thoughts, when they come, it's easier the thoughts that aren't triggering to release, but those that affect you, like kind of like stick with it, and it's a little more work letting them go. So when I had to like focus on love for everyone, the persons that I have tension with, it was more difficult for me to like release and connect, like give that love in that direction
to everybody, because you're thinking about these, what we call the enemy, right? The difficult people. And traditionally how this meditation is taught is we deal specifically with the difficult people, but I skip that part on purpose. It's not on accident. And it's interesting that you said, well, when you say I have to do this practice for everybody, those were the people who kind of popped in your head. Oh, them too? Them too? That they first came to mind. And so you could either just say, no, not you. I'll get to you later. I'm just going to focus on the other people, on everybody else. And that's perfectly acceptable. Not that you're ignoring them or not that you're ignoring him, but we'll get to you later. Right now, everybody else. Because what I'm trying to do is make this practice easy. Get you to a point where you have enough love for yourself so that you can then more effectively deal with these difficult people. So that when these triggering thoughts for these difficult people happen, you have so much love for yourself and experience having love for yourself that it's like a shield, that these triggering thoughts aren't going to sway your mindfulness or loving kindness, in that you'll be able to look at these thoughts with so much more compassion for yourself. Because usually these thoughts are really disturbing to you because you remember what they did, right? And you remember that effect that it had on you. And so you won't really kind of be in that place as much because you'll have too much love for yourself to let these thoughts bother you. So you can ignore them for now, if you can. I mean, it's not always easy to do, but just know that you don't have to include them specifically in when you say love for everybody. Eventually, yeah, you will. They will not be any different than anybody else. But if you're just starting out, yeah, you can ignore them for now.
Yeah, I did that. I tried that
Good.
at work. I told myself again to work on forgiveness. I need to work on self-love, and it'll come. And it did help not putting as much energy in that area.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Beautiful. So we had, this is for everybody here online as well, we had two requests for story time. And, I used to do story time a lot. I love telling stories. And the stories that I tell are Buddhist stories, right? So I tell the story of the Buddha's enlightenment. I tell the story of, because in the Buddhist canon, it's filled with these richly, fully developed characters and people who had amazing and full lives of their own. So for example, there's a couple of wonderful stories. There's a whole pantheon of wonderful stories, but like of the Buddha's main attendant. So the Buddha taught for 45 years. He got enlightened at 35. He died at 80. So for that 45 years, he taught. But managing a sangha is hard, right? And so he had an attendant who attended to him personally and attended to him like administratively. And he had a lot of people who were his attendants at first. But for the final 25 years of his life, he had his cousin, Ananda, who was his attendant, who was the best attendant, and who, even though he was only his attendant for the final 25 years of his life, he's written about in like every story because they loved him so much. He was such an amazing attendant. He had an incredible life. He was unbelievably well liked and loved. Even the Buddha, a spiritual master, had enemies like Devadatta, which is another story. But Ananda, no enemies ever. Literally everybody liked him. And so he's a wonderful story. The Buddha had two main disciples. Their names were Moggallana and Sariputra. And they had incredible lives of their own. And so there's a story about how they came to be the Buddha's attendants. They were buddies. And so that's one story. And then there's separate stories of their own lives. And so they were in charge of training all of the monks. And so the first part of the training, Sariputra would take them and kind of nurse them and teach them all about how to act perfectly. And then Moggallana would take them after a certain point and then lead them the rest of the way to enlightenment. And so they were two incredible people with incredible stories. There's the Buddha's stepmother, who was really the only mother he ever knew, because his own mother died 7 days after he was born. Prajapati was her name, and now they just call her Mahaprajapati. And she was the first Buddhist nun. And so she went through a lot of pain just to be able to do spiritual practice, because very patriarchal society then, 2,500 years ago still, right? So her fight to be able to do spiritual practice and become a nun was a big deal. And Ananda had a big help in that as well. So all of those people, Angulimala, a story I've told numerous times, who's we call the murderer saint, killed 999 people before he finally stopped and eventually became an enlightened being. And so I used to tell these stories a lot. I used to have a separate class where I just told stories. And so I think what I'm going to do is, like, next week I'll tell whatever story. If you have a particular story you want me to tell, I'll tell it. Or else I'll just come with a story. So just let me know. Anybody online, you want to let me know if you want a specific story, the Enlightenment story, or any of the other stories, or I have other stories as well from the Buddhist canon. So happy to do that. So we'll be doing that. All right, guys. Anything else before we end tonight? Yes, sir.
I have a question. How often are you supposed to do loving kindness meditation?
Much as you want. Yeah, so there's not a prescribed amount of time or anything like that, but it's a really good meditation to do. And different people, and even when you do loving kindness meditation, you can, if you want to concentrate on various aspects of that. So for a lot of people, I always say, if you just focused on yourself, nothing but loving kindness for yourself and maybe all beings, if you did that for like 7 years, you'd be perfect. That'd be awesome. Your life would change miraculously. But there's no like specific amount that you have to do it, but the more the better.
How often do you guys have, what do you call it, services? Or?
Oh, okay. So we have just classes here, and if you take a look at our website, we have classes like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Is each day a different type of?
Yeah, it's a little bit different. Tuesday and Saturdays are about the same. So a lot of people like Saturdays because it's like Saturday at 11, but you have to sign up for it. So it's on the website. Just sign up on the website. The other classes, I don't think you have to sign up for. Huh? You might have to sign up for Tuesday and Saturday. Yeah. Yeah. But on the website, it'll tell you which ones you have to sign up for. But it's easy just to sign up for it and come and take your spot. Eventually, we'll get there. Eventually, when things get better, they have new variants, so who knows? But you'll just be able to come. So yeah, we'll get there. But right now, for some classes, you have to sign up. But classes all the time. All the time. Thank you, guys. It's so wonderful to be here with you today. Let's join our palms together at our hearts, please. And may the benefits of this meditation, this discussion, be received by all beings in all directions. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be joyful and at ease. May all beings be happy. May all beings be loved and seen for the beautiful, radiant beings that they are, that you are. Thank you for coming. Thank you so much, guys. We'll see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye, guys.
Are you ever going to top those cans?
No, I know. I love these.